Welcome to the Varsity Brews Podcast, Season 3, even though it's basically year 2. We did we did 2 seasons within the last year. We kind of did a roadshow. Anyway, welcome back to the podcast. Evan Sharpley, Aaron West, Vahid Sadrzadeh. I hope I got that order right.
I don't know. We should put it in order of who arrived on time first.
Dang. Well,
for the first show,
of all fairness, we were supposed to do our first show 2 weeks ago, and I didn't show up. I was watching my Jeep, and I just kind of forgot.
You were in the zone.
I was in the zone. Evan was a little late today, too. So now you're next, buddy.
We made up with it because Evan had 6 beers in the 15 minutes or so that we were waiting for. Yeah.
Well, welcome here to Season 3 of the Varsity Brews Podcast and Season 2 for Notre Dame under head coach Marcus Freeman. And listen, let's just jump right in. I think they played damn good against Navy. I have a question for you, though.
Okay.
You've played Navy.
Yeah, it sucks playing Navy.
What do you take out of that game?
Absolutely nothing.
Really?
Nope. Just don't lose like I did.
Well, no, they play a different style of football, right? But, It's still an opponent. It's still getting ready. It's still all those things, right?
Oh, for sure. But, I think that this was very strategic, playing Navy game 1. It's the way to do it. You put them 3 or 4 games in, it completely changes prep and, how you're approaching your defense and what you have to prepare for. So, with this, you get it out of the way right away. You come out healthy. You dominate them, right?
Beers.
Offense was very impressive.
We got to take this time out for beers. Time out for beers.
Always.
Thank you, Jamie.
Lovely, Jamie. Thank you so much. All right, so what are these?
Evan's got the hazy double Primus. He said he had a long day.
What'd you get?
I got ice delay.
Buddy.
I've had a long day.
Cheers, gentlemen. Cheers to
cheers,
another
guys.
season here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
season kickoff.
You were saying, I'm sorry.
So I probably was a little rash in saying there's nothing you take away. I think there'd be red flags and you'd be worried if the game didn't go the way it did.
Right.
They did what they were supposed to do. It's early, so there's likely going to be some rust. You're finally playing a game versus practicing against your team. Pleased to see what Sam Hartman brought to the offense. I think they were able to control the line of scrimmage. They were able to run, play action pass, push the ball down the field, which is, certainly a question mark, is who's going to catch the ball when Sam Hartman's throwing it. So there are some positive takeaways, but at the same time, it still is a nuanced game. It's still kind of a niche game. And really, it's one of those things. You're in a no-win situation when you play Navy.
Right.
You play poorly. Every Notre Dame fan's probably pulling their hair out, and it's an issue. You beat them, and everyone says, well, you're supposed to beat them.
Right.
So you obviously want that. So they did what they were supposed to do. But I think that we're going to learn more about this team in the next 2 weeks, specifically coming out of this next week. Even the home opener, you gotta set the tone early. You look to a year ago when they played Marshall, and this team is not Marshall who they're playing, but Marshall wasn't very good last year either.
Right.
And Notre Dame, let Marshall hang around, and it was a problem. So I think that that's going to be different in this week. But when they go and they, in week 3 against NC State, I think we're really gonna see kind of the trajectory of where this season could potentially go. Some big games circled on the schedule. Ohio State, obviously a hot ticket. It's going to be a hot ticket in South Bend. Prices are getting out of control, I know.
And if they're undefeated, it's going to be $700-800.
It's going to be massive. And of course, USC and Clemson. Those are going to be big games too. Fortunately for Notre Dame, 2 of those 3 are at home. That's not that Notre Dame Stadium is necessarily a raucous environment and teams are afraid to come there, but I still think you'd rather be on your home turf than go into an Ohio State or go into a Clemson and be in that type of environment. So, the verdict is still out for me a little bit on where this season is going to go. I think, early on Vegas set the odds at 8.5. And over the course really of the last 10-plus years, they've been pretty spot on. Normally Notre Dame's gone above. I know during Brian Kelly's tenure, it was usually around 9.5, and he consistently outside of 2017 would win 10 games. So anytime you have maturity and you have experience at the quarterback position, it makes a world of difference. So I like where this offense, where they have the potential to go. but they're obviously going to have to prove it against a defense who's going to put some pressure on Sam Hartman. Can they still then run the football? That's going to be the big thing.
Right, and it's a big season for us here at Varsity Brews Podcast. We're starting it off with a bang. Of course, we're live at Westwind Brewery. Aaron, I mean, you're kicking it off with a bang here today with Love for Maui. Of course, that's what I'm drinking. You need to drink that, too. Have you tried it yet?
I have not tried it yet.
It's absolutely delicious with pineapple notes. Do you like the pineapple notes
I
there?
do, yeah, pineapple notes.
I'm improving my lingo here.
Is this junior year for...
How's the mouthfeel on it?
It's delicious. But Aaron, today's a special day for you. You guys are kicking off this fundraiser that you're doing for Maui that was devastated in those fires.
Yeah, it's been an early morning for me. So I got up early in the news and got over there and kind of telling the story of what's going on. But yeah, a big release for us today, and it's fun to be a part of the actual kickoff of the Varsity Brews Podcast. But we made this beer, Love for Maui. Little history on it for those that may have missed it is one of the covenants that I made with my wife was I needed to go on a vacation every year. In year 3 of owning the brewery, I had to take her to Maui. That's an easy one, right? And
boy, that's a rough one.
And then 3 is make sure I balance that work-life family balance, which I've tried to do that, and but it's been great. So yeah, we back in April, spring break, we went to Maui, had a good time. Got to actually go to some of these breweries. Kind of is maybe what inspired me to make a fruited IPA. I think it's our first fruited IPA. But yeah, and then obviously with the devastation that happened with the wildfires, which just a few weeks back ago, I actually see one of my regular customers. She actually flew out 12 hours before those wildfires hit out of Maui. She was there. So, but to see the devastation that happened, where we went fishing and had a beer and had lunch and shopped and helped support their local economy, because it's heavy tourism through there. It was devastating. My wife started showing me the pictures, and I'm just like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, it was absolutely crazy. There's 175-year-old Japanese tree that's actually right in downtown Lahaina that we had me and my kids had a picture of, and I looked at that, and then I saw it on the news, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, this is a real thing that's happened. So I just had this like super kind of heartfelt passion thing that I'm like, we should do something with this. I'm like, what can we do? I mean, we're a small brewery. We're not, some big brewery that can mass produce, tens of thousands of cans of beer. But I just thought it'd be fun, local Elkhart, Indiana, for us to make this beer. We have a lot of, I ran a couple of bartenders and that were actually worked at those breweries that actually follow us on social media. It was super cool. And I told my wife, honey, we're going to make this beer. She goes, what are you going to call it? I'm like, we're going to call it Love for Maui. Because she always said, yeah, I love Maui. I love Maui. So, and obviously that also impels that, or intends that we want to show the love that obviously there's so much devastation over there. And if we could do something that's good, too many bad things happen in the world. We just thought it'd be super cool to make this beer, and we are super excited. So today's release day, fast forwarding, and here we are. And we got it. People were coming in. I've seen 4-packs flying off the shelves. I've seen lots of pints getting poured. I think the only person in the brewery hasn't had it is Evan, because he was late. Not to call him out, but
now that we have twice.
Yeah, right. But what we're doing with the Love of Maui, it is a fruited IPA, 5.6 ABV, citrus nose, light pineapple. It's got a nice tropical feel. It's a perfect morning beer. We sampled it a couple of times on some of our early morning business meetings.
Yes, we did, yeah. Business meetings.
See that?
That's probably why I'm not drinking it. It's below my threshold. Everything starts at 7%.
Well, it's the what, 5.7?
Yeah, 5.6, yeah. So it's a nice palatable. We've actually had a few people say, hey, I can actually have 2 or 3 of these Westwind beers. They're not 8%. So I think people are happy about it. But we are taking...
I can have 2 or 3 of these.
We're taking basically $1 of every pint that we sell. So everything that's going out there, that's getting donated. We're also selling the sticker, the Love for Maui stickers. Shout out to our peeps at 19L. If we want to show that real quick. Thanks 19L for making these in an emergency rush situation. We're selling them for $1, but all those proceeds, we got a couple hundred of those. So our goal is to try to raise a couple grand to donate to them. So for a small brewery to be able to do something that just hopefully it helps pay a bill. We're linked up with Visit Ohala that's focusing on restaurants and breweries. There's a donation page at which we can put that
absolutely
in our link to help that. If somebody just wants to give a cash donation, then you're more than welcome to do that. But yeah, when we get all done, we're hoping that it sells out by the weekend, and those proceeds are going to be donated to help the directed families that were impacted by these horrific things.
That's awesome. So stop by this weekend before it's all gone. Love for Maui here at Westwind Brewery. That's what we do on this podcast. We talk football, not all Notre Dame football. We'll talk some Michigan football too in a little bit. There. But we're going to talk, and we talk beer, but we're going to talk Notre Dame football next on the podcast with ABC57 host Allison Hayes, and we'll do that when we come back. Welcome back to the Varsity Brews Podcast. On the line right now, live, L-I-V-E, is Allison Hayes. Of course, she's the host of ABC57 Kickoff and really world-class reporter covering Notre Dame for years. Allison, my friend, how's it going?
You're also my partner in crime, so I like that build-up you just gave me right there. I'll take that.
That was quite the intro.
Hey, you're just rolling off the top of my head here. Allison, for the folks at home, you've been covering Notre Dame for a long time now, even back to the last national championship that Notre Dame played in, which was 2012, and you covered them then. Right off the bat here, let's just dive in. What are you noticing different about this program under the second year of head coach Marcus Freeman now that maybe you didn't see back in the day with Coach Kelly?
Well, I think we're all seeing that full buy-in, and I think that even from day one, he had the guys right from the get-go. Guys are ready to run through a brick wall for them, and we saw some stumbles along the way last season, and that team really could have fallen apart, especially after Stanford. It could have really been a disaster, and to see the way that Freeman was able to regroup those guys, keep them focused, keep them together as a team and not check out, and really finish that season strong and then get a bowl win. I think that tells you a lot about their respect that they have for him. And I'm going to have to imagine the way they love playing for him. And now as they transition into the second year, we're seeing more confidence in Marcus as a head coach. He was figuring it out very much last year. We saw him come out strong in the first half and then struggle in the second half, whereas I feel like now what we've seen, now it's very early, granted, but what we saw in spring practice, what we saw in fall training camp, there's just a fire, and I think he's fitting into his own groove now, and the team is taking on that personality with him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Evan, you were a part of those teams back in the early, 2010s or late 2000s. So from your perspective, talk about some of the differences.
Yeah, well, I think you look at it, anytime there's a coaching change, there's a little bit of a changing of a guard, and it takes sometimes a year for a coach to kind of have his personality, character, and identity of his team transition. I saw that when I came in with Charlie Weiss, and his style was a little more guns blazing. I would assume that Brian Kelly was very similar to. What strikes me, I think, is with Marcus, and Allison made a good point, was he's still learning to be a head coach. So this year is going to be all about those second half adjustments. That was something that Brian Kelly, love him or hate him, was really good at.
Right.
You expected usually coming out of halftime that there'd be some adjustments made. So I'm curious how that's going to go this year. One other thing to point out too is they were able to go, and this wasn't something that was dealt with as much or at all with Charlie Weiss, and a little bit towards the end of Brian Kelly's tenure, but what the transfer portal has done. And Marcus Freeman was able to go out and get a great quarterback, and we've already seen in game one, again, early in the season, but anytime you have a mature quarterback like that, it adds a lot of value to the team. So, between what I think Marcus learned last year and then adding some experience at a high-profile position, a leadership position, I think is going to be very helpful.
Allison, it's interesting. I saw an article the other day, and they were talking about how Marcus Freeman has come into his own here in the second year, and they said in the article part of that was getting an all-world quarterback,
it helps.
and might be the difference between last year and this year.
1,000%. Imagine if you're still in the situation where you've got Tyler Buckner and Drew Pine battling it out. It's just a night and day difference, and that's no disrespect to either of those two guys. They did the best that they could while they were here, but Sam Hartman is of a different caliber, and he's going to make Jared Parker, the offensive coordinator for Notre Dame, look like a genius. You know, everyone gave him a lot of credit. Well, hey, you let Sam Hartman go out there and do his thing, and they have a lot of trust in Sam, a 6-year guy who, you know, it looks like he's one of the coordinators on the sideline. But in all seriousness, I mean, they know that they can trust him. They were allowing him to make checks at the line of scrimmage. So, yeah, kudos to him. Great get off of that transfer portal, and he's an absolute game changer for everyone involved at Notre Dame.
Well, and that's what I believe. And honestly, you're not going to like this comment, Aaron, but I honestly think that Notre Dame this year can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the country, especially Michigan, because of the experience at quarterback. I know you don't like that.
Evan's agreeing with me.
You don't think so, Evan?
No.
Wait, I want to hear why you don't think that, though.
Well, we haven't really got into season predictions.
No,
or
we
anything
haven't.
Like
No,
that.
not
So
yet.
do we want to save that?
Yeah,
I mean,
we might want to save that a little bit.
Listen,
I want to hear a little something.
Well,
That's a build-up right there.
You guys are not wrong. You know, anytime you have a veteran quarter, he's 24 years old. He's 6 years older than some of these
he's like
guys.
38. I mean, he's as old as you are. I mean,
in college football, I cannot overstate how important having that type of maturity and experience. I mean, they're rattling off some of his career numbers, number of snaps, career touchdowns. I mean, this isn't a guy that, you know, he's got a lot of snaps under his. That is massive at the college level. Because you have turnover every 3 or 4 years, right?
Right. Yeah.
Pro sports completely different. So you have continuity on your offense and defense with maybe some small changes year to year. But at the college level, with that turnover, when you have consistency, and I say consistency at the quarterback position, you look at some of the best teams, you have guys that have been 2 or 3 year starters. I mean, look at the past few years with the guys that are in the playoff or in contention for playoffs and winning championships. They have a high-ranked recruit, a 5-star quarterback that is usually a starter for 3 years.
Stetson Bennett.
Well, okay. I think it was
But they
more,
had guys around him.
I was going to say, I think it was more about the guys around him there. I think you probably could have gone out there and thrown left-handed and made some of those plays.
I don't know. Allison see me throwing a ball or two, and it's not pretty.
Fair enough. So,
he couldn't see over the offensive lineman.
Yeah, remember, I'm only 5'6"
just put him in shotgun.
and a half on a
just
good
put
day.
you in shotgun. You're good to go.
Yeah, right. Well, Allison, we want to get into the show a little bit. There's a call on the other line. Can you hear that?
Perfect.
Talk about ABC57 Kickoff. You've been doing it. You're an OG on that show. Talk about kind of the show in general and the thought behind it and how it's evolved over the years.
Absolutely. This is our 7th season. Can you imagine that? 7 years we've been doing this, lucky number 7, and super excited to have you, Vahid, back with us, co-hosting the show. We will be live on campus this Saturday. We do every home game live from 10 till noon, and pretty much all of the away games as well. Including NC State, which will be huge for us. That game is at noon on ABC, so our show will lead directly in to the game broadcast. So we're going to have a huge audience for that. But, I mean, we just got back from Ireland, and I've been telling folks, every game, hey, you can stream us live anywhere in the world, and we literally got to see it and experience it there. We did our show live in Dublin in a bar called the Odeon. They were amazing for us, and they were able to stream our show as we were doing it live throughout the bar on all of their television screens, and it came in crystal clear. It was surreal for me because it was just like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. People are literally watching our show in another country. But we're very much like, College Game Day-esque on ESPN, where we're a live 2-hour show. We've got analysis. We've got long-form features. We've got live guests. We have experts that come on. Evan, you've been a guest on the show before. We have lined up for this week. We've got Tim Brown. Just a Heisman Trophy winner that's going to be coming on the show at 11:30 a.m. So it's just a lot of fun. It's incredible, really, what we're able to put together as a team and the coverage that we can give. If you love Notre Dame football, we know you're going to watch big noon kickoff. You're going to watch ESPN Game Day. But when you flip over to us, when the other guys are talking about teams you don't care about, we're still talking about Notre Dame, and we're going to give you the best coverage on the Irish.
You're damn right. We don't care about Michigan.
Love it.
But hey, Allison, you used to cover Michigan when you covered the
That's
Big Ten.
right.
So what is your thoughts on Michigan this year?
Ooh, I do think they look very good, and J.J. McCarthy is. You know what I learned is that J.J. grew up a diehard Notre Dame fan and didn't end up coming to Notre Dame. They didn't recruit him to come here or didn't make him an offer, and that is mind-blowing to me because I do think he is a heck of a talent. And, I mean, I love having Sam Hartman at Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's going to have him for one season. J.J. McCarthy is a guy that you could have, really build your program around for a few years, as you're seeing Michigan do.
Well,
So,
we had Tyler Buckner, Allison, so we didn't need J.J. McCarthy.
Well, that is going to be the key for Marcus Freeman is can they land?
You got to get a big quarterback.
Is C.J. Carr going to be the guy?
Yeah.
Right.
You don't think Minchie's the guy?
I don't.
Ooh, interesting. Why so?
I don't know if I have a great reason why.
You're not feeling it.
Don't have that feeling.
I just don't
Yeah.
have that feeling.
Well,
And to be quite
but
honest.
how do we know that C.J. Carr is not going to be a bust?
But that's I think the verdict's out on him a little bit too.
Absolutely. Michigan didn't heavily recruit him.
To be
To be
very
honest, like there was a lot of politics behind it.
Really?
Yeah, there was fears that he was going to be like competitive, too much pressure, being the grandson of Lloyd Carr, and honestly, if you look at like his path, it wasn't happening. So, obviously he landed at Notre Dame, still a great spot to be a starting quarterback, right? And thank you, Notre Dame recruiting staff, for allowing JJ to.
And if you look at
Yeah.
if you look at Notre Dame quarterbacks in the last 15 years, myself included, I didn't hit. You look at a lot of the guys that had tremendous success at Notre Dame at the quarterback position. They outkicked their coverage as far as where they probably should have been.
So you're talking about,
Tommy Rees, Ian Book.
Clausen,
Technically,
Brady?
Technically, you would say that Jimmy, as far as wins and losses, underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good point.
He was a 5-star guy. So really, you have to go back to Brady. He was really the last, I would say, quarterback that played up to the caliber of what he was.
Well, Everett Golson played
Billed
pretty
to be.
well. He played above and beyond that season.
But he also split time.
Well, that's true.
Right.
That's true.
So that I'm telling you that for Notre Dame, because the question is always when and how are they going to take the next step. So we can talk about the players. That is the number one key is they have to be consistent. They have to land some of these non-miss guys, like guys that in 3 years are going to be drafted and playing in the NFL.
I think Marquette's doing the job so far.
I'm not saying he's doing a bad job.
He's good in the recruiting
I'm
room.
just saying in the last, and Allison, you could speak to this too. It feels like every year there's a quarterback competition. That's not
Every year.
That's not a good thing.
there
It's not that means that you have two guys that are okay.
There's
Yep, exactly.
That's fair. That's fair.
Allison, do you agree there's been 2 years in the last 7 that we've been covering them for ABC57 Kickoff that there hasn't been a quarterback competition? The second year for Ian Book, or
Yes.
third
Yeah.
year.
Correct.
Even the second year, I think, was contested.
Well, and to be fair, that was Brian Kelly's MO everywhere he's been too.
Right, so the third year for
Yeah.
Ian Book and this year for Sam Hartman.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And what to kind of touch on
That's a
what
good point.
Evan was saying about Kenny Minchie, I kind of agree with you there, but I do like his mechanics and his physical presence of what we're seeing at practice. But that personality, he's very quiet, and that doesn't mean he's not going to be the man. He's not going to be able to be a solid leader, because you can be a leader without being a big personality. But he just doesn't have the to me right now. And granted, he is a freshman. It's young. He's early, but he doesn't have that sort of
It's kind of
mental
like
presence.
or like an aura kind of around you, right?
Yes,
You're attracted.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I agree with all those points. And furthermore, I would just say good luck, Alabama. And you're going to the game this year. Evan's going to the opener for in Tallahassee next week.
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa, yeah.
Tallahassee. Tomorrow. I get there tomorrow.
It's this weekend.
Wow.
It's this weekend. Yeah, it's kind of.
Say hi to Tommy for me.
I guess it's a little bit of a cardinal sin.
Someone's going to be cleaning kegs while Evan's having fun in Alabama for the opening.
Exactly.
I'm taking my wife to a concert tomorrow. And
Nice.
I just
You're a good
happened.
husband.
I just happened to look up, and I was like, "Oh, it is the home opener."
Oh, there's a home opener.
How
convenient.
7:30
that's cool.
kick.
That's really awesome. What concert are you going to?
We're going to the Hardy concert. So
Very cool.
He's touring with Morgan Wallen and Bailey Zimmerman right now, but this is a kind of a spin-off. It's just him. Well, Lainey Wilson's going to be there too. So
Okay.
Nice.
we're pumped for that, and I'm excited to get my first SEC tailgating experience.
It's a whole another ball game.
Yeah, Allison was in Florida for a long time, so
I am a Gator grad, and it's different. It is very different.
I don't know if I should say this or not, but I did order an Alabama jersey.
I was going to say, are you getting a T-shirt or what?
Evan.
So I got
He's going to be coming back, roll tide roll.
The vintage 90s starter mesh
man.
jersey.
And the crop one too?
I mean, it's an extra large. I haven't tried it on yet.
Did you get that on eBay?
Yeah, I got it on eBay, of course. And then I have a starter snapback, all white with the maroon pinstripes.
If there is somebody that gives Marcus a run for his money in the fashion world, it's Evan.
Yeah, okay. My wife dresses me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Allison, we're all holding beers here. Well, I'm not actually. Well, I'm holding a can. I have known you for a long time, but I do not know what your favorite type of beer is.
Oh, wow. I kind of go in phases. Boy, I'll tell you what, I was enjoying Guinness while I was in Ireland, but it's just not the same here at all. I'm more of a wheat beer. I like Blue Moon or something along those lines.
She's going to like the Love for Maui.
She's going to like the Love for Maui or Better Days.
Oh.
Yeah, and Better Days. It's a raspberry wheat, yeah.
I'm telling you, he's got some award winners here at Westwind. Better Days, Love for Maui, Primus.
I'm drinking double Primus right now.
Drink it, though.
That's a double IPA.
When that thing's out,
Ooh,
that's
I
all
can't do an IPA.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though, is these IPAs, they are different. They are juicy.
They are,
and they are dangerous. They are dangerously smooth.
And he's got a beer called Mr. Fluffle's Stout that you got to try, named after his dog.
Well, I'm going to need a full flight when I get there.
Sounds
so
good.
You know,
Well,
I'm going to need a full explanation of all of them as I work through it. I'm one of those kind of like the behind the scenes. I want to hear all the details. I'm all in on that kind of stuff. I love it.
You're going to have an Untapped account before too long, I think.
Yeah, they got me started on one.
Rating beers.
Yeah.
There's
I like it.
Beer 101 with me over here. Before you go, Allison, final score prediction this week. And,
oh, gosh, I have to remember.
And we want your final season prediction for Notre Dame record.
Oh, man. Well, I'm buying in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid right now, and I keep changing, which I know you're not supposed to do. But I'm saying, so I've been kind of torn on the score because I think they have the ability to put up more than 50 on them. But I also think they might they're going to start putting in backups, and they might also, not to say take the foot off the gas, but out of respect for the HBCU team, they may not put 50 on them, but I think they have the ability to. But I'm saying 48-3. I think we could see a shutout, but with the Tennessee State quarterback, as mobile as he is, he's kind of crafty and fast, and he can make something happen. He could get him some yardage and get him close enough that they might be able to get a field goal, get 3 points up on the board. So I'm saying 48-3 on my final score prediction. And on the season, I don't know. I was early on, I was saying 9-3, and the 3 losses were going to be Ohio State, Clemson, and USC. But I'm starting to feeling juiced about this season now. And what I'm seeing, as long as Sam Hartman stays healthy, everything revolves around that. If he gets hurt, which I was dying, I don't know if you guys were, but I was dying in that fourth quarter. I'm like, get him out.
Yeah,
take him out.
Absolutely.
I don't want to see him
100% agree.
blow his knee out. Like, what are we doing? Plus, you need to get Steve Angeli some reps. He needs some real game reps.
He didn't look as good as I thought he was going to in that fourth quarter. But I know it's garbage time. But, like, I don't know. I wasn't, blown away.
well, in garbage time, like take advantage of that and do
Right.
something with it, you know?
Right.
But, so I think I'm still thinking maybe, I don't know. I'm going to go 10-2. I think they're going to get a win against either Clemson or USC. I'm still worried about Ohio State, though. That
right.
one is definitely a danger zone for me.
Well, we're gonna discuss here in just a little bit, but I'll tell you this much: I'm drinking Kool-Aid big time this year.
You always do.
I think
Kool-Aid.
Marcus Freeman has just a different attitude this year. I mean, he's like taking on like
Yeah.
a sort of a Bill Belichick type of like press conference where he just doesn't say anything, and he says today, and whatever that is, it's resonating. So I don't know. I'm drinking the
Well,
Kool-Aid.
I think it's 'cause he said too much
I think
last year.
that they get at least 2 out of those 3 games, Allison, that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, if you get 2 out of those 3 games, you're going to compete for a national championship in the playoffs. I don't know with that schedule.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So-
With that offense, I mean, they will be so hard to beat with just being so versatile and having, I mean, that's hard to game plan against as well when you've got so many weapons. But the concern for me still is a little bit on that defense. Nobody, and maybe I'm overreacting, but in the first half, especially the first quarter, they were giving up some pretty big chunks on the run game. And I just felt like, ugh, you know, I know they got it together and there was some adjustments needed to be made in game to the way the triple action and how they were throwing different schemes at them, all that good stuff. But if you're giving up big chunks of yardage like that to Navy, what happens when you're going against Ohio State or USC or Clemson running back who that 6 or 7 or 10-yard run turns into a 20-yard run or it turns into an 80-yard touchdown? You know, it just, so that has me concerned just a little bit, and I'd like to see the secondary develop, but the way the schedule is built for them right now, I think is perfect to help get them ready. Like they've got last week now, this is a really good tune-up coming off of a Navy prep week where that's so different from everything else. Then you've got a real first test at NC State. So that's where we're really going to see kind of where this team is headed.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they react to kind of this emotional high coming back from Dublin. They played lights out. What are you going to do on Saturday at home? Are you going to come out flat? Are you going to, you know, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Allison, cheers, my friend. Thank you so much for making the time to come out. And I know Aaron's motto here at Westwind is always share your brew.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to share a beer with you next time you're here.
I love it. I told you that the only way I was going to come on via phone call was if you promised I still got to come in and do it in person for another show. So I can't wait to join you guys again later in the season.
Deal. We're looking forward
Fair
to
enough.
it. And you can catch Kickoff, ABC57 Kickoff Saturday from 10 to noon on ABC57. Allie, thanks so much.
Thank you, Allison.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Allison.
you. Did you get another one?
This is beer number 2.
Do you need another one?
He
I
needs
mean,
a love from Maui, I think.
You love from Maui? Yeah, let's get him a
I
love
mean,
from Maui.
I will never say no to a beer.
Okay.
One love from Maui over here.
All right, hold
at the
on.
table.
Let me go get WW Uber here.
While you're gone, we'll talk shit about Michigan football. Just kidding.
Aaron, I won't do that.
Welcome back to the Varsity Brews Podcast. Evan Sharpley, Evan. That's you. I thought it was me. Evan Sharpley, Vahid Sadrzadeh, Aaron West here at Westwind Brewery. Another season of the Varsity Brews Podcast. We just heard Allison's take on Notre Dame. You're still undecided on this team. One thing, though, is for certain, and that's they have a quarterback that can go toe-to-toe with anybody. But the question is, do they have – look at that.
Now we're talking.
The question is, do they have the defense to get them there?
No, they don't.
Plain out simple. They
They don't. Yeah, I mean,
Is it the linebackers? Is it the front? What? I mean, Riley Mills moved inside now.
I think it's the coordinator.
Ooh, all right, Al Golden.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm waiting for this.
I mean, there were some red flags last year,
Okay.
and I don't, you know, it's still going to be the same messenger. It's still going to be the same, you know, identity on the defensive side. So I don't think they're doing a great job consistently of, you know, the term is, you know, the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's.
Okay.
But you have to then put those Jimmies and Joes in the correct position based on their skill set. And I think that there are going to be some gaps, specifically against some of the better competition, where they're going to have to make some adjustments, and they're going to have to make them early. Like, you can't wait till halftime to make adjustments against teams like Ohio State and Clemson and USC.
But even Ohio State last year, they held them to 21 points on the road. They were in it.
I thought the Irish played Ohio State tough last year.
And then they lost to Marshall.
That one doesn't make sense to me, but
I just think that's flat unprepared.
Okay. That's fair. I just you said that my verdict is not out. I've kind of stuck to my guns on where I think this season goes.
Sure.
And I still am at 9-3.
Okay.
I still am at 9-3. I think that you are correct though in saying they are going to be in those games.
Absolutely.
So I could be proven completely wrong. It could be 10-2. It could be 11-1. They may win 2 of those 3 games, as you pointed out. That definitely could happen because of Sam Hartman. So Allison brought up he's got to stay healthy, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
and get pulled out of the fourth quarter when you're up 41.
absolutely.
And in those games against those teams, he has to be the guy.
Absolutely. Well, and keep getting his receivers involved.
Yeah, and for me, again, we'll talk in 3 weeks, I think, and probably have a clearer picture. But that was one of the big things for me in the offseason was you have really an unproven group of receivers and tight ends. I mean, you lose Michael Mayer, that's huge.
No targets to tight ends.
Well, that's
versus Navy. By the way.
But maybe that's okay. If he's
right.
Because what's been missed with this offense is, I think that the term like deep threat is thrown out too much. You just have to have a quarterback and a coordinator that's able to get those guys in those positions.
Right.
Does speed help? Yeah, for sure. But you can still scheme pushing the ball down the field. So if you have a good stable of running backs and offensive linemen, and you're able to set up, you're able to run the football and control line of scrimmage, it opens up so many options to play action pass down the field. Now you're getting one-on-one matchups. You've got a guy that's accurate with the football.
Yeah.
Early in the game, I mean, it was a great play call, and Sam Hartman drops one in the bucket right in the middle of the field. No middle of the field safety because they're playing man coverage. I mean, those are the things that if this offense, and Allison brought it up too, is it does make defenses, they have to respect the run. And you talk to any
5 running backs.
You talk to any defensive coordinator, it is always controlling the line of scrimmage and stopping the run, because if you become one-dimensional and only passing, it's easier to defend.
And then you have two big dogs up front, including Joe All-American candidate.
Great offensive line.
Zeke Correll. So you have some big dogs up front. So you say 9-3 right now is your prediction.
And that was an early take. And again, like I touched on, I mean, Vegas is usually pretty close, and they set it 8.5 early, and I kind of ran with that. But there are some some question marks potentially with Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
How are they gonna bounce back?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they gonna be? You look at a year ago, Notre Dame beat Clemson at home. That whole game to me too was weird. I thought Clemson had a really weird game plan. Didn't know what they were doing at the quarterback position. So I'm curious to see what they do this year. And clearly we'll have a portion of the season to kind of see how that transcends. And then USC too. There's a lot of hype around them. You've got Heisman Trophy winner, a lot of great talent, coaching staff. There's a lot of guys on that coaching staff.
He's shaking his head, not happening.
But it is in South Bend, so I think that does play to Notre Dame's favor.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing though too, Vahid, is you do have to take into consideration a wild card team on the schedule that maybe we're not talking about.
100%.
Because that happens every year at Notre Dame. And it isn't always because Notre Dame isn't necessarily prepared. It's that for a lot of these teams, beating Notre Dame is a big thing.
Yeah. Sure.
It is.
Yep. Yeah, it's a Super Bowl for some teams.
It really is. So, and I don't know which game it's going to be, but there's going to be a close game where Notre Dame football fans are going to be sitting on the edge of their seat saying this game shouldn't be going the way that it's going.
Right.
And it's frustrating.
Right.
But I think that's how it's going to be. I'm still on that 9.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll throw out 9-10 wins, which is where, Brian Kelly left this program. It was a 10-win team every year. Yeah. And that's where it needs to be. You have 1 year with Sam Hartman. Maybe he's the deciding factor. I know I sound like a broken record. It's a big deal when you have a sixth-year quarterback,
Right.
with the accolades that he has.
We're going to go to Michigan in just a second. I'm
Sure.
going to throw my predictions out.
Okay. Do I get to predict for Notre Dame too?
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in you guys. So.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I get to go. All right.
We'll talk about Michigan
You're going
after.
12-0?
No, I'm
okay.
going 10-2. They beat Ohio State,
All right.
and they lose to USC and Clemson. That's my prediction. 10-2.
10-2. That's a good prediction.
Yeah.
I said earlier.
14-0.
14.
I don't know if they're that good. I will say this. Marcus seems different. Seeing him basically let it out in practice this year. There's a video going around of him kind of, getting on the guys.
I was going to say, just
Yeah, I mean, he's just getting after it. And
we gotta do
honestly,
that.
he wasn't that last year because I think he was just settling in. But he's that now. I do think Notre Dame can go toe-to-toe with Ohio State, with USC, and with Clemson. Here is the one caveat I will say. I think they're going to beat Ohio State. I think that's the game they're going to win.
Okay, so me and you agree on that.
USC has zero defense. They played that first game against San Jose State, and they let up 28 points against San Jose State.
Yeah, that's a lot.
He is known for not having defenses. And I think
they put up
teams-
half 100, though.
And if Notre Dame learned anything, they would play that Utah tape back about 1,000 times to play it and repeat to see what they did to get after the quarterback and to beat that team. Because they didn't just beat the team, they handled them 2 times. Utah did. I think USC is beatable. I think the 2 big question mark games for me this year, NC State, because
That's a good point.
their defense is solid, and they picked off Hartman 6 times in 2 games while he was at Wake Forest.
Forest, yeah.
And he probably doesn't have the same offensive line, receivers, da-da-da-da. But still, that's probably hard to get over when you're a quarterback,
And
right?
it's the week before a big game.
And it's the week before a big game. And I will say Clemson. Going to Death Valley,
That's a tough game.
that is a very – if they're undefeated going into that game, which I predict, if they're undefeated and they lose that game, I think they're still in the playoff because of the tough schedule. But it's the time of year where you lose that game that can hurt you. But at that point, what 4 teams are going to be better than Notre Dame? You have Alabama, which still hasn't picked their quarterback.
No, they haven't.
Which we saw. LSU is pretty darn good.
Georgia's good.
Georgia's pretty darn good, but they have question marks at quarterback.
Michigan's good, too.
And now that brings us to Michigan. Michigan is good. Do you think they're better than last year?
My take on Michigan is I do think that's a fair. I think they are going to be better, and here's why. I mean, not that they didn't have a great season last season, but if you look at, in the playoffs, obviously they lost Blake Corum, got injured. He's likely to be another Heisman candidate trophy this year, right? He's an absolute man beast, right? Guy runs everywhere.
But what did TCU do that nobody else figured out last year? Or do you think that Michigan didn't play?
I just don't think Michigan showed up to that
I don't
game.
think they did.
Yeah, I think that and obviously my buddy Jesse, he's a big TCU fan, and he still lets it rub in me.
There were a few questionable.
There was calls,
Yeah.
right?
And things that did change.
They changed the output.
It did.
Well, and they let him hang around. They let him
did,
hang
yeah.
around. They let,
Absolutely. You look at Michigan's schedule, though. I think Michigan. There's no doubt about it. Probably should run the table. The
Are
game.
you,
Penn State?
coaching Game 4 or one of the games
Yeah.
that Harbaugh's?
They said, man, come on. I mean,
We're gonna self-impose.
We're gonna
and
self-impose.
I'm gonna sit out for 3
now
games.
it's legal, but yet
Ed
3
Orgeron
years ago, it's
Ed
not.
Orgeron is coming in.
I mean, I don't
You
know.
get to coach and you get to go. I mean, come on.
So I would tell you that
What about Penn State?
I think that. So here's 2 things are going to happen. Michigan's either 12-0 or 11-1. That's what I think. You got Ohio State at home, so should we? I think Ohio State is not as good as they're
I
ranked.
agree.
And I think that the one game that always is our Achilles heel, and I don't even know what time the actual game is, if it's a noon or a night game. If it's a night game, I'm going to be worried and we'll be 11-1. If it's a noon game in Happy Valley, we will be 12-0.
Oh, it's probably going to be a night game.
Well, I know, but
whiteout.
It'll be a whiteout.
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, and that hurts us because Michigan, Penn
sure.
State always plays Michigan tough at their night games.
Penn State never loses a night game.
So
it
that's
seems
my
like.
prediction. I'm saying 12-0.
Okay.
If it's a night game in Happy Valley, 11-1 for the Blue. I think they're loaded. I think J.J. McCarthy's going to have a rock solid year. I think Blake Corum's going to run everywhere, still be in the Heisman running. And if everybody stays healthy, I mean, Michigan's got a lot of returning players.
They do.
Yeah, and there's a reason they're number 2 in the country right now, preseason, right? Now, the first 4 games, Harbaugh not being around, that guy's going to be sitting on his couch playing PS4 or PS5, if he's got NCAA, whatever
Yeah, he might be sitting next to Ryan Day after he loses this year. No, that's interesting. So you think Michigan's going to go to the playoff, though?
I do.
Okay. I do think Notre Dame will make the playoff as well. I think they're going to go 11-1. I think they're going to trip up somewhere in the Clemson-NC State realm. Better probably against Clemson than NC State, because if you lose to NC State, that's a tough one, right?
It's tough.
Everybody's going to be like, well, they're 11-1 and they lost to NC State, right? And they're out of the conference. So I think that's going to be tough. But I'm going to throw an ultimate question at you both. If the playoff featured Notre Dame and Michigan, who wins that game
Michigan.
and why?
100% Michigan.
By 21 points.
Boy, I don't know, man.
But also we are viewing this very differently because I don't see Notre Dame as a playoff team.
You see them as like a Cheez-It Bowl team.
They're a top 10 team, I think.
Yeah, top 10 team. Yep, I would agree with that.
Top 15, top 10, top 12. I mean, I think the preseason rankings are accurate, but if they get hot, I mean, it's college football. I mean,
right.
It definitely could happen, but
Ranking of the Irish right now, we're fresh in my memory. They're 11th?
13th.
13th. Okay. Yeah.
Probably going to be higher than that.
Probably, after this week.
Right.
I'm still torn, though, on my 4 for the playoffs.
Okay.
I really am. I don't know I really don't know who. I got to think Michigan. I got to think 2 SEC teams.
So Georgia, LSU.
Yeah.
And?
Or I don't know. I don't know right now.
Yeah, I mean.
But maybe then to your point, I mean, if Notre Dame does go 11-1, they're in.
Well, 11-1.
Because
11-1 trumps a conference loser, correct? So if a conference championship loser, goes 11-1, do you let Alabama? That's the age-old question. You let Alabama in? You let Notre Dame in?
I think Alabama's going to struggle this year. I mean, that's just me. I mean, you got the whole they still haven't announced their starting quarterback.
They have 3 guys.
They got 3 guys, right?
But that could be. I mean, who knows?
That could be
might
strategy,
be wrong.
but
Listen, that's never a good thing.
If you haven't named a clear starter,
right.
I agree.
And with Saban too, that's never been his MO. Right? It's
they're talking
usually they
lot
name
about
a guy. I mean, you look back to Tua and Hurts. I mean, he benched Hurts to play Tua right away after Hurts led him to a national championship game. I mean, he doesn't play those games. It's like, here's our guy. So I think you're right on that, and that's why I didn't include Bama in that 4 right now, because there's a lot of questions with that. So
Ohio State's in that same boat though too. They are.
They are.
You know, the Pac-12 is not going to field anybody this year.
Well, that's probably why I can't pick a 14.
There's a Pac-12. That's actually a
No, there's a
conference?
Pac-4 right
yeah,
now,
I was
and they're
gonna
going to the ACC. All right, finally, pick your national champion this year. Well, we'll look back here and see if we were accurate.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Who's going first?
I'll go first.
This is a really good beer, by the way.
Isn't it great? It's very drinkable.
Love for Maui is super palatable. It's
a very good beer.
It's going to be a hot weekend, and if you don't enjoy a Love for Maui and come support a great beer and a great cause, man, I'll tell you. Everybody's drinking.
Who do you pick, Michigan?
I'm going to go on a bold prediction. I think Michigan could play very well. I think they will play Georgia probably in the championship game.
I think it's Michigan versus SEC.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Michigan's schedule; it's definitely favorable this year to them. Toughest game being the Penn State game away. I think Georgia's just they're dominating down there. I think you'll have a hiccup in LSU; they'll get in, but I think ultimately it'll be Michigan Georgia. I think if Michigan's as strong as they are, I mean, obviously Georgia's like a pro team, but yeah, why not? I'm a Michigan fan. Let's say national championship. Maybe sets Harbaugh off into the NFL if he wins it all.
Sure,
walks away from all the headaches.
You want me to go next?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to shock you guys. I don't think it's going to be Michigan.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be Ohio State. I think Penn State is going to represent the Big Ten in the 4, because I think they're going to beat Michigan.
Is Wisconsin in there?
First year, let's just give them some.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get you off track.
Let's just give him a year and get a quarterback, and then we'll be fine. Okay. Remember, he got Desmond Ritter, so hey, he was a good quarterback. So I think Penn State's going to be in the national championship game.
Oh, okay.
And I think this is going to pain me to say this.
You're going to say what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think LSU.
Yeah.
This is Brian Kelly's year.
This is year. Yeah.
I think this is his year. He beats Penn State in the championship game. They probably have a home semifinal game at the Sugar Bowl. At
Tiger bait.
That's right.
Tiger bait.
I just think this is Brian Kelly's year.
Does he still have that southern accent thing going on?
Family.
Yeah, it's family this year.
I want all the family out here. For
LSU was going to win the championship, so that's who I'm picking. It pains me to say that. I heard.
I'm gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go LSU in Michigan.
Okay. So
Fair
Big
enough.
Ten school, SEC school. Yeah, I think that's viable. I mean, LSU played very well last year. They just got left out, right, of the championship game, the SEC championship game.
Yep.
And I think this is I think Brian Kelly's going to do it.
There'll be more continuity in year 2 for Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly beat Alabama last year. That was one schneid he got off of. Yeah. And I think this year they're going to get it done. They have the quarterback, and they always have the talent at LSU, and they've got the home stadium, too.
Loaded.
All right. Well, that is our podcast today. Any other final parting thoughts on the schedule, on Michigan, on the beer?
Come here and drink some love for Maui. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely. Kickoff week, official kickoff week for most college footballs, right? So if you don't got anything going on or you're having a party, stop by Westwind, pick up some love for Maui. It's going towards a good cause. Some of the proceeds are being donated to families. How can you go wrong? Watch some college football.
Right.
If you're grilling out, come grab a 4-pack. We got a few to go. Love to try it. Evans, it looks like he's going to have at least one more. I'm not thinking based upon
I got to get a haircut, though.
Hey, one to go. One to go.
Drink one in the chair.
Get a can to go.
Well, we are so glad to be back here.
Absolutely. I missed you guys.
Hey, missed you too. We actually I showed up.
I know
today.
you were actually on time.
Right. I woke up. I woke you up today. I have called you like 6 o'clock.
I was on the road.
I'm like, oh, buddy, I'm All right. Well, we'll be back in a couple weeks with another edition of the Varsity Brews Podcast. We're going to be on a boat.
We're going to be on a boat.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the boat.
Oh, get ready. Varsity Brews Podcast on the road next time. For Evan and Aaron, I'm Vahid. Cheers.
Cheers.
Always share your brews.